It's been a while. Quite the month, the last month. I hope many of you have been celebrating graduation. Certainly, I had a starring role, as usual, as one of the marshals for the University of Chicago graduation. Marching behind the pipers, our bagpipers, is the best. And I had great work from my students in my Tolkien course. You guys, you got to check out the Tolkien Medieval and Modern.blogspot.com blog where they meditated on the mysteries that we were discovering with Tolkien. And I've had a trip for family to out to LA. You might hear about that a little bit because I'm meditating on that. And oh yeah, my dog died, which puts everything into a perspective that I just can't bear. And we are going to try to get through this live stream without me bursting into tears. But it's not a guarantee. He died. Drake died on May 24th, Sunday in the morning, next to me. So if you wonder how it took us so long to get back on stream, that's why I can't do this without my dog. Welcome to the Mosaic Ark. So, here's to Drake, my
Drake, the
beloved
mighty
dog,
Drake.
the mighty Drake. I mean, as I said, I don't want to make this entire stream about him because I will not get through it. But man, oh man. So, and we don't have pictures or anything like that because it's too raw. Um, he was 5, and I'm thinking about this. It's like I got him I started streaming on unauthorized with my Forge of Tolkien series, and my first dog Joy died while I was doing those. And I got Drake. There's a episode in the Forge of Tolkien series. It's 3 Dog Tolkien, where I'm talking about how the dogs are all behind Tolkien's love of dragons. I'm absolutely certain that all his dragons are they're interesting associations between the dogs and the dragons in his various stories. And that one was the first one. I had Drake, right? And I was like, welcome, Drake. So 5 years ago. And I just like, he's been there. He's been here through everything that we've done. Our writing in the Dragon Common Room. I mean, he was obviously named in honor of the the mysteries that we were trying to cope with. And I'm tongue tied. Please save me. I don't want there to be a story in the fact of my dog being so sick, right? I want there to be my dog. I don't want some kind of hyper lesson of God loved him. God loved him
Yes.
so much and wanted to take him, right? He was 5.
That never helps anybody. I don't. That would just make you mad at God, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm very mad at God, frankly, and I could use your guys' prayers because I can't pray right now. I've told you this. It's just I'm just so angry because there's no reason to it, right? It's not like he's like, did I need to learn a lesson that my dog was particularly precious to me? Was I
No.
being super selfish and not taking proper care of him? I mean, it's like, no, you're punishing my dog for something I did. That makes no sense, right? It's like there's no way in which not getting to live a full dog life makes
He lived a full
sense.
dog life.
Well, I
He
know you
did.
say
He
that,
gave
but
him a
he was
great life.
5. He did.
Yeah, I was young, but he had a great life.
I
You gave him a great life.
I'm I was talking to my neighbors, my dog park friends yesterday, and it's like he was like everybody knew him, not me, right? Like, one of my friends was saying she was asking, do you know Rachel and Drake, and everyone's like, no, I'm not sure I met her and stuff, and she said, well, Rachel looks like this. I mean, my hair is a little distinctive, and they're like, no, I don't think I've met her, but Drake, the corgi, the
Mm.
Pembroke corgi with the tail, and like, oh yeah, we know Drake.
They said Rachel is Drake's human. Is that?
I didn't even exist as a name, right? Just he did, right? And he was so good with other dogs. He was like, good mediator between all sizes, right? He was really gentle with the little ones. He loved wrestling with the big ones. He was really, calm with the ones that were new and nervous about being in the park with the dogs. I mean, he transformed other dogs' lives because wow. He was so good at playing with everybody. Um, yeah, gonna miss Drake a
I'm sorry,
lot.
I never got to pet him.
I
I
know
used
he
to hear him
was.
all the time when we were writing, just this little,
Yeah.
little nails on the floor. He was adorable even from afar.
Well, you were gonna.
You can
I
see.
mean, he was gonna come to BaseCon this year because my husband has to be
Oh.
out of town, and so I was gonna bring him.
Hmm.
um. Yeah. I just anyway. So the now that I've ruined my makeup and everything. I mean, we're obviously
Beautiful.
already looking for another dog because I have to have pets. I mean, one of the things I did on my recent trip to LA was go to the zoo. Right? Because
Yeah.
how are you not gonna have an animal? It's impossible. And we don't, and when Joy died, when my first dog died, we had a cat at that time, and we have nothing right now. And it's just so lonely.
Well, you are definitely a dog person. I mean, a real dog person. I like to say, yeah, I'm a dog person rather than a cat person, but I can have one or not have one. But you're like, no, no, you need a dog. You
Well,
need
I
to have a
need a
dog.
pet, right? And I had guinea pigs in college because I couldn't have a pet. And I was just reading about uh Bill Watterston and his Calvin and Hobbes
Mm.
cartoon strip, and he had this it's like why he never merchandised Calvin and Hobbes, which is sort of interesting because he didn't want to, he wanted the sense of Hobbes was real to Calvin and a toy to everybody else, and they were both true. And I was reading Calvin and Hobbes in college and everything, and they have all of the books from that time, and um my guinea pigs were faux corgis because I couldn't have a dog when I was on campus, and then I went to grad school and I couldn't, it's like couldn't get a dog for a long time. It's like so I had all these substitute dogs
Did you
because
always love corgis? Were they always your favorites?
they were always my favorites. I always wanted a
No.
corgi. It's not clear that we're going to be able to bear that again, right? It's too much. Drake was the most beautiful corgi ever, and
Mhm.
and I say that as an absolutely dispassionate witness from the park when we brought him home sick. Like he was coming over in the vet, and he was skinny as, I mean, he died so skinny, it was horrible. Because I kept hoping the medicine that he was taking for the histoplasmosis would kick in and he would start eating again. And it's like, please start eating. Please start eating. Can you start eating?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we took him out of the car and set him down, and he could barely, he wasn't standing or walking very well. And this guy's staring at him. And I'm just like thinking, oh, yeah, my dog looks really sick. And he just said, that's the most beautiful dog And I'm like,
Oh,
whoa. I like, you know,
he had a beautiful coat till the day he died. I
he,
saw the pictures you sent.
he was, I mean, he was young, he was golden and red, and he shone in the sunlight. And I mean, dragon, he was just like dragon scales, beautiful
Mhm.
sunlight dragon scales. So anyway, you know, we have to get another dog, but to get, you have to like, not, but when Joy died, I ended up home with my mom taking care of her while my stepfather was dying. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
kind of had an interval there. And I realized that when I was there with my mom, it was like I couldn't do anything except walk, right? So I just take these like hours and hours and hours of long walks while she was at the hospital, or I
Mhm.
couldn't sit still. And of course now I find myself walking around the neighborhood still, and just like I can't, it's just impossible.
Feels
Anyway,
a bit empty, huh?
all my entire schedule is the dog. It's like they keep you saying this scholarship needs a dog because otherwise you're too much in your head, right? You're too much thinking thoughts
Hmm.
and stuff. And
Interesting.
the dog gives you, it gives you social life because you're out talking to your friends with their dogs and the dogs are playing. It means you have, the dog's body rules, right? And you have to take him out regularly. So
Yeah.
go to the bathroom and play and stuff like that. And so it keeps, I mean, I got joy when I had gotten super depressed when I was working on my second book, and I had a really intense year of leave, and I was working every day in my office on campus, and I got so depressed I went into writer's block for a year and a half
Mm.
because I'd overworked, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need something that takes me out of my head and into the world. And you can see how not able to be here online when I was trying to take care of Drake, because that's reality. The world,
Yeah.
being in the incarnate world is reality. And even there's no language. You and I are talking right now about act 4 and writing the next scene, the next part of the scene, and how it needs to be like really of the body and of life
Hmm.
and incarnational, and words are so inadequate for this.
Yes.
It's
Because
just,
it's more feeling than language.
yeah. And it's being right, it's just, I'm gonna start crying again. It's just, it's my husband and I are both like this right now. We just like burst into tears, right? Because you just remember this moment when you could look at Drake and he'd be smiling and alert, and here I am, what are we doing now, right? It's like, what are we doing
Mhm.
now? And he couldn't talk, but he could be, he was there, he was real, he was alive, and none of this verbal stuff does anything to bring him back at all. So anyway, if you're wondering why we haven't been around,
Yeah.
um what's been happening in the world? I
Wait.
gotta get off this topic because I mean, we've,
Okay. All
no,
right.
seriously,
So
I cannot sustain, and the problem is, okay, maybe I'm back on it. The other thing that came around, which is very interesting, is the first time I taught Tolkien, my father had just died.
Mhm.
And when my father died, I cried every day for a year. It was awful. And I'm a little worried about this level. I mean, the level of grief that I'm going to have for Drake, because it's like waves, right? It's just like,
It is
you
waves.
think it's going
You shouldn't
to,
try to stop it.
right, but it's exhausting too, and you just think, I'm never going to be free of this. I'm never going to have another moment of joy.
Except that's not true. Up here, it just doesn't feel it here.
My heart hurts.
I know.
Yeah, guys,
It's supposed to. That's grief.
I have a little toy here.
Mhm.
I'll hold the baby dragon. Maybe that'll keep me on target. Anyway, what's been happening in the world, right?
Well, I feel
It's
like the
all a
wind's
little
been knocked out of
irrelevant,
me.
eh?
It's a bit irrelevant. I wanted to be so smug,
Yeah.
and chant USA, USA. Okay.
Well, we could do that.
Is my
USA, USA. But why did you want
Here's
to be
my
smart?
Australian wine,
Oh,
which I'm
good.
drinking after the
Australian wine.
USA beat Australia
Oh,
in Seattle
really?
today.
Mm,
Yes.
I've got my Chicago beer, so it's a Chicago thing. Yeah. Okay, USA. Tell me about the World Cup.
Well, I didn't watch it. My husband and son went to the local sports pub to watch it, but it was very exciting. And I have a friend in Seattle who's down near the stadium. This is a complaint my husband has about it because he really likes watching the World Cup, but
Mm.
they're making you join Paramount to watch it. The first match was on Tubi and it was free, and the USA won that against I think it was Paraguay, and oh my God, that wrong because it's more important to him than it is to me. But also, it was like $1,000 a ticket, so a lot of the seats were empty
Oh,
in
wow.
LA.
In LA.
Yeah,
Well, so I
and I
was
don't
there in
know.
LA, right? And it's like,
Yeah,
I didn't,
you were.
well, I mean, I was in Westwood. It was around UCLA rather than
Yeah.
downtown where the games were. But I think it's a little like Chicago. It's like these things can be happening in our cities and you're not necessarily able to
Mhm.
notice. The traffic is the same, right?
Yeah. Well, Seattle's
Yeah.
much more compact. So a friend of mine just headed towards an area called Pioneer Square, where the stadiums are very near there. And of course, it's packed and crowded, and they cleaned it up. This is similar to what happened in California
Yeah.
when G was visiting. The governor cleaned up the streets just for the visit, and then didn't care again afterwards. So Seattle's just as bad, and they cleaned up these streets, and they actually moved them to a different part of the city and then to a different city altogether temporarily, just like, come on, everybody move out, like you're pushing people out at closing time at a bar, right? So they cleaned up these streets and they gave out these licenses for people that open basically beer gardens there. So it is very fun, and she was very excited about it. So people are having a really good time. But it's pretty cool that because the U.S. is, I don't know if anybody knows this. I might be telling you a secret, but we're not very good at soccer. It's really not our sport. So that we won 2 matches and then we won a match against Australia is a pretty big deal, I think. So
Yes, I think you can USA Australia. All right, isn't
yeah,
Australia supposed to be pretty good? I mean, what
I
level is
don't know, but
this?
I imagine because they're a Commonwealth country, they're a heck of a lot better than we are at it. So that's
Mm.
my assumption,
Well,
knowing as little as I do about it.
I have learned that soccer is the appropriate name. It's used by the Pope.
Wait a minute, was that ex cathedra? I'm not sure.
Well, he said soccer, not football, and of course, soccer, as I've learned reading this, is it was a British version of, say, sort of elite boys making abbreviations for stuff, and it was association football, so it was like rugby was from
Ah,
rugby school, and soccer
yeah.
was a sock football, so soccer, it was
Okay.
and it was only when the British got snooty about it that it turned back into football.
You mean we started playing it too, and then they went, well, now we're going to change the name.
Sort of. There, I mean, you can certainly find this on the internet that there are explanations for why soccer is not an Americanism. It's actually a Britishism that we adopted because we were listening. And then I guess we didn't, it's true that we have another game that's called football. So we don't talk about soccer as
Yeah.
football, but soccer was not an Americanism to start with. So we
Yeah.
can call
Since
it
we
what
if
we
we if
like.
we
The Pope said soccer.
if we started calling it European football, do you think they'd start calling it soccer again? Just for
Who
spite.
knows? Who knows, right? So, okay, so that's one thing that's been going on. What else has been going on?
Trump insulted Maloney in Italy.
What? What? Oh
Yeah,
my God. I'm
big
just going to sit here
insult.
drinking while you give me gossip. What?
After the G7, because we were just talking about it, my husband and I, and
Okay.
he's like, "What is he doing?" He's like an idiot, and I immediately, because I'm so cynical, I immediately thought, when are their elections over there, and who's she running against, and who's he trying to help by trying to embarrass her as the PM? And I don't know the answer
Now
to it.
this is not, she went to Hobbit camp. Come on. We can't dislike George, Maloney.
It's not personal. That's the thing. She's taking it personally because she has to. It's in public,
Yeah.
and it was potentially embarrassing to not address it, right? But yeah, I'm too cynical. I'm too Gen X cynical for this. I'm like, No,
But
there's an
why did so
election. Come
what
on.
she's running against somebody and
She begged me for a picture. It was just really pitiful. I took pity on her. I took a picture with her. This is what he said, right?
yeah.
Now, my question was, well, that is a dumb thing to do. And he's had a really good relationship with her so far. They
Mhm.
did not let us use our own bases in Italy to go
Oh.
to Iran.
Oh,
That
okay.
might have something to do with it. But then I'm also thinking, is she up for reelection? And is somebody else, is running against her that he might consider more flexible?
Hmm.
I don't know, but I'm cynical enough to ask the question.
You know, I'm obviously exhausted from mourning Drake or caring for him and then mourning him, but I'm exhausted trying to keep up with all the players in this story. I
I
mean,
don't try anymore.
never
Just
mind. It's like how many teams are playing in the World Cup and who's one against two, and I think my brother can probably keep that level of sports statistics in his head without any trouble. But I'm how many players is Trump aligning, bouting with at any given time? It is
ooh, nice
bewilder
segue. Yeah, they're like
bewildering,
teams.
right?
They're teams, right?
Well, I
But it's
guess,
more a
but
game of risk.
well, so those of you who staggered into this live stream thinking we were talking about Trump and the pigeon, okay. Obviously, the
All right, yeah,
big
that
thing that
image.
everybody, okay, well, no, what's interesting is like in some ways the World Cup has overridden the Iranian MOU, weirdly
True.
enough, right? It's like who's
Mm-hmm.
with the Europeans are all over here happy to find, I mean, posting stuff on X and TikTok and stuff. I'm seeing it mainly on X where
Mm-hmm.
they go to our grocery stores. Those are, I mean, those are the kinds of grocery stores I tend to like be staggered by because we don't have them in the middle of Chicago. But
Yeah, right.
those big ones that you get out in the suburbs and,
Mm-hmm.
aisles and aisles and aisles of stuff and choices and and restaurants and I mean all of it, and it is sort of funny that one that people are willing to travel here because apparently it's okay, right? Uh, I,
Yeah.
there was a I was when I was in LA airport on Tuesday, Iraq was playing. So I took a picture of it,
Egypt.
something like that, and they were in I don't know, and it's like they're all in America right now, apparently fine to be playing
Yeah.
games. And yet, we're supposed to think that the world's coming to an end because of what's happening in the Gulf. I'm confused.
I'm just going to mute for 1 second. I need to grab something and I don't want to make a bunch of noise.
Okay. What is she grabbing? Okay, so we have here everybody. Hi, everybody. John Myers, thank you. Welcome. VA, thanks for the prayers. VA says, I've been enjoying how much fun foreigners are having. Shout out to the Scots and Japanese for being some of the best guests. Yes, the Japanese are getting snaps for cleaning up after they're watching a game, and the Scots are doing fun things in Boston. We might be looking at USA versus UK in Philadelphia on July 4th. That would be
Oh,
intense.
that would be
That
epic.
that truly would be epic.
That
Um,
would be epic, and I will be going to watch that
I well,
for sure.
I'll be
I stayed behind doing other things today, but yeah.
I'll be going to our summer nationals in Portland, which is kind of funny. I get to go to Portland in a couple weeks. And it's always fun doing summer nationals for our fencing is over July 4th. Although our event is before that. The veterans is before that. So
Mm,
it is nice because you have I've been in a lot of different places for July 4th because of where our tournaments are.
fun.
Yeah, but the heavy Boston with UK versus USA would be amazing.
That would.
Who has to win
Oh
what to
man.
get to that part of the elimination tree? That's what we need to
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you getting? What were you?
Oh, it's really kind of boring. I wanted to turn my air conditioner up a little warm.
It's
So
that
that's
time.
it.
But aren't we Americans? So we have air
We
conditioning,
have air
right? Yeah.
conditioning. Yeah.
Okay, but
And I can adjust it on my phone, which is great.
okay, so we left the internet. The last stream we did was May 8th, and we were talking about the King's
Wow, it's been that
visit.
long.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and the world has not ended. My dog's life has ended, which is therefore well, and the thing is, I do feel this as all of the kinds of things that we've been freaking out over during his lifetime keep evaporating, right?
True.
It's like how many of the crises that we had have turned during that I got him. He was was born in February 2021. So you consider all of the crises that we've weathered over those only 5 years. It does feel like he had a full life because somehow those 5 years feel like 20. Um,
They do.
that,
Yeah.
he was born during the lockdown years, survived through the vaccination mandate times, made it to the election year with Trump and the assassination attempt and the this and the that, made it through all sorts of layers
Yes.
of our writing, which personally was exciting for us. Um, it, I was looking. It's like we're coming up for the anniversary on Charlie Kirk's assassination. How has
Right.
all of this only been in 5 years?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. When you list it like that, it's kind of shocking. And I think you haven't even got 10% of the big ones,
No,
probably.
and then in every single month. I mean, how has it been since the Iran operation starting in February 28th, right? February 28th. We have been on the edge of the world exploding since February 28th, and it's still here. And
As it always is.
well, but that's the thing. I mean, for me personally, my dog dying is like, that's it, right? You don't get the dog back. There's no more Drake. He can't, and we can get another dog, but Drake is gone. And I feel like one of the strange things for me about this is we've had all of these things that were supposed to be catastrophes and end of the world, and everything's going to be different. And it does feel like everything's different now after a decade of Trump.
Hmm.
But it also feels like every single new hysterical the world is going to end thing is suddenly, as the word is, memory hold. I'm guessing that's from 1984, right? You just toss it down the memory hole. We can't. People don't seem to remember stuff from day to day, like the people. I'm thinking of you, Tucker Carlson, um, right? It's like three
I have
days.
my own theories about him.
Well, 3 days ago, we were all on team one, and then now we're all completely on this other team, and we've completely forgotten what we ever. I mean, at least Tucker is like remembering that he said positive things right now. He's regretting them, but the sense of perpetual catastrophe that never materializes, as compared with my dog who is actually now dead, right? It's
Puts
I
things in perspective, huh?
well, the perspective, but it also gives me a certain degree of, like, is anything real? I mean, did Trump in his 3D chess game versus the pigeon knocking over, and it's like in our cover for this stream, we had I think it was a picture of, supposed to be Peter Parker, right? He's putting his glasses on and off,
Right.
and but playing in the they live mode of, what do you
Yeah.
see in reality, right? So it's a meme meshing two different movies with the pigeon game, and saying, can anybody see what's actually happening anymore?
Yeah, there's still quite a bit of media manipulation going on. I watched WWE for the first time in 40 years last night, and I was laughing my butt off. It was hilarious.
Say
It
more.
really was. It's very entertaining. And we put it on for my son who loves actual real wrestling. And we said, no, you got to watch this, right? And he said, this is ridiculous. I said, yes, it is. That's the point, right? It's very entertaining, and it's audience participation, and it's all acting. They're all acting, like it's like a big melodrama there in the ring. You
Right.
look at me like you've never seen it. You should watch it. It's pretty funny. But
I've seen clips.
and
The premise being you have a face and a heel, right? And
correct,
there's so
correct.
there's the hero guy and the bad guy.
But the acting is always super obvious too.
Right.
And the audience knows it, and everybody's pretending that it's not because that's part of the fun, right? That's what I see when I look at Tucker Carlson making his faces every time. Every time.
That he's
It's like
played, well, he's
playing a
playing heel
role.
now, or he's
He's playing a part. Yeah, but he's done it before. I support, I regret, I support. Now I really regret it. And tomorrow I'll support it again, because they do the same thing in wrestling. It's kayfabe.
So is anything actually happening out in the world? I mean,
Probably, if nothing were happening out in the world, it wouldn't need the kafebi to distract people and to try
okay.
to control the narrative.
So what's being controlled now?
Good question. Too many different. There's too many different theaters. It's the reason they call them theaters in war.
I went now you say that, and I'm wondering where that phrase comes from. The theater. I mean, it does well. One, the,
Probably comes from wargaming on the table and in situation rooms is my guess. Like Risk, like the game Risk.
right.
But
So I did some discussion about Dungeons and Dragons and points, and oh, I know. It was one of the graduation speeches I heard at UCLA, and the guy doing it was an accountant for he was he was in mathematics, but he was accountant for various game companies, and so his graduation speech for the graduates was about gaming as a model for, like how to think about, your life progress. Although
hmm,
he undercut himself instantaneously, because the first thing he said was, you need to find yourself in the game and, double down and take, take the risks and, get the new skills. And then the first anecdote he told was how he changed from organic chemistry to statistics because the chem was too hard. And I'm like, you just you just said that you didn't do the very thing that you told these graduates that they're supposed to be up to, right? Which is doing, taking the hard game. But there's all this stuff about, like, if you imagine your life in terms of a game, like a role-playing game, and I don't remember which ones he said he worked on, but that, you there's always this sense of, if I die in this particular iteration of the game, you just need to save progress, go back, start over, right? There's no saving progress for Drake. He's dead, right? And that I find this sort of weird feeling that I sincerely kept thinking he was going to pull through, right? I did not give up.
well,
I was unable
I
to give up
know,
on him even when he was dead. I was
but
looking at him going,
there
"You
was
can wake up. You can still wake up." And
oh,
I gave him
yeah,
grave goods and everything. I was so insane, that I could not believe he was dead. And I'm wondering how, like, I was thinking how, mothers who used to lose their children constantly
yeah,
in childhood, like, I got why you would look at them dead and still think they could wake up. Just
mm-hmm.
wake up. You can still wake up. But this sort of gaming iteration that we have, it's like you can be in this situation, die in the game, and then, oh, but I've saved my progress, so just try again, right? um how that affects our sense of, I mean, what risks we actually take, risks are, what the point of life is supposed to be. If it's like it's going to win, you're going to be playing all these games and I'm going to level up and I'm going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you get old.
But
Maybe,
that's not a bad thing.
well, that's having a lot of thoughts.
It's a natural thing.
I feel way older now than I did a month ago.
I'm sure you do because death does that to you because it's the most wrong thing in the world and your mind can't comprehend it and you keep wanting to wake up your loved one and know you're going to give up. You're going to get up. No, you're going to get up. Fix
Yeah.
him. He's broken. Fix him. Just fix him. Right? Because you can fix lots of things. So when you have a relationship with somebody or a dog that's strong and the most wrong thing ever happens and you know it's not supposed to happen and we as Christians know it wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Right. And it kind of smacks up against the reality of today, which is, well, it does happen right now. Right. And we believe it's temporary for people. I tend to believe it's temporary for dogs too, because they're just too beautiful, but that doesn't help you right now. Right now, it's like no matter what you do, you're just kind of smacked in the face with reality.
Right.
And it makes you feel old because you've seen death. Actually, oh, right, it does happen, and it happens to people I know and to pets I know.
Yeah.
Well,
this is, I mean, Drake's not the first pet I've had to die, so it's
first young one though.
It's
Your
somewhat.
cat was very old.
The cat was very old. The first cat was midlife. He was 9 when he died.
Mm.
Um, Uh, but there was something you were saying there about, oh, that I was also, so I was reading, I think it was a Midwestern doctor post this
Hmm.
morning. No, it was Liza and Becoming, all these Substack that I follow. And you
Oh,
guys, if you're curious about what we're citing, check out my Telegram channel. I was trying to for more, visual support for tonight. I was trying to figure out how to share Telegram into our stream, but I couldn't do it. So please go to my Telegram channel. It's Fencing Barrett Prayer, and a lot of the stuff that we're reflecting on is basically archived in my channel. You can see it.
mhm.
Um, One of the pieces I was reading this morning was about how cancer testing is basically a lie. And I
Oh yeah,
have,
that was a good one.
yeah, and I have some investment in this because my mother used to read mammograms. So I'm really thoughtful about this, that you get everyone into the testing regimen, and if we catch it early, we'll save your life. And they've been following, if you actually do the studies, you realize no, you just weren't going to die. that
Yeah.
that thing that they caught was not, in fact, I mean, you can survive it because it's survivable. Whereas, I mean, Drake with histoplasmosis, I'm like, it wasn't cancer. Okay. Could we have caught it earlier? It was the medicine that killed him, because it was the medicine that killed his appetite and made him starve to death, because he
Mhm.
couldn't start eating again, but the medicine had to build up enough in his bloodstream to start killing off the fungus, and he couldn't withstand it. And he was already
Yeah.
skinny, so maybe if I'd started earlier, but maybe it would have killed him earlier. Maybe he would have died in November if we'd figured it out sooner, and the medicine would have killed him. I mean, it's like the promise of medicine that we can catch it, you'll be a survivor, um is, I just, by now, I don't know, when we're writing about this in Draco Alchemicus, I know which of the stories is going to turn out to be not a lie of the dragon.
Hmm. Well, he tends to take truthful things and twist them just enough
Exactly.
to change its meaning and to change your perception and to change your conclusions. Right? It's like a wedge. Everything's a wedge.
Well, it's
This is
this.
why you, this is why you keep your eyes on Christ constantly, because you can't do anything else.
Yes, and I will say thank you so much for being here for me and reminding me of that, because it's everything. I mean, it is also what we're trying to show in Draco Alchemicus. It's like there, all of these things that you
Mhm.
get trapped in, the only answer is Christ.
Yeah.
And we're trying to explain why, like why
No.
it's not just like God and, oh, your God or the Christian God. It's the reality of Christ is the only thing that saves us from this deception.
Right. And it is a massive deception. And it is an octopus with countless tentacles.
Right. And in all of these good things, and the the
Correct.
big one, it's like, if we perfect the medicine, you'll never die. I mean, that is isn't that exactly what the first
Oh gosh.
temptation was?
Right. And there was some interview on X. I didn't take it seriously enough to click on it. I just read the summary of it, that it was put up there. But yeah, if you're over 50 and or is over 50 or over 60, just stay alive until 2032 because we've stopped aging.
I saw that one.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be unbelievable.
Just be safe for the next decade, and you'll get to live to 100.
It's so dumb. It's like
Oh,
you might die of an accident, but you just won't die anymore because we've cured aging. Like, no, you haven't. It's sorry. It's not in your it's not in your blueprint. You can put it off, but you can't stop it.
right.
Wouldn't mind looking younger though.
Well, so the other thing that I spent looking, being at all these graduations and thinking, so also thinking about the future, right? And I think, that those of us who spend too much time online spend too much time in panic mode, because the internet is definitely designed to keep us in panic mode. I
Oh
can I
heck
can
yeah,
I
it
can
is.
tell that
Keeps you clicking. You got to keep scrolling.
got to keep scrolling.
It's the news cycle. People used to make jokes about just the evening news doing the same thing, but now that's like on, I don't know, 50 million milligrams of steroids now.
Right.
and it's in your pocket and it's with you all the time, and it's constant bad news. Um, yeah, it's everything's been amplified. The problems haven't been fixed; they've just been amplified.
Well, I mean, and they've also been recycled a lot, which is
Oh, yeah.
something I've been thinking about. But so I've been at, these graduations, and they're the so that you're suddenly surrounded by thousands of 20 or 22-year-olds because that's the age of the graduating class, right? And
Yeah.
um it's not that not well, and it's funny being in my job because I'm always surrounded by people younger than me because they're my students. But I'm old enough now that I'm older than their parents. And right. I'm not yet old enough to be their grandparents, probably. To have
Oh,
someone.
I'm totally old enough to be a grandparent. They had them
Well,
young in my family.
no, but I'm old enough to be a grandparent for sure. Please let that happen one day, maybe. Um,
No,
but
I hope so.
I'm not old enough to be the grandparent of the students who are in my classes because they're 18, right? So 18 times 3, you'd have to
I'm
have.
totally old enough to be their grandparent.
Would you? You're not older than I am. No,
No, but my grandmother became a grandmother when she was 39. So
but she was.
58 years old,
Yeah,
she was a grandmother to a high school graduate.
okay, so there you go. Technically, it
Yeah.
would be possible. Um, but listening to them, I mean, watching them celebrating their graduation and hearing, I mean, the speeches and thinking about like, what is their life going to be like? What is their, I'm nearly old enough to technically, I'm starting to get the you can retire messages. Um, so my career has had its arc, right? And it's had, maybe there's something coming
Mhm.
now afterwards, but the sort of central part of the story is happened and theirs hasn't yet. And what is it going to look like and how is it going to feel? And it's like they're in a different, I mean, they're young. They're young. And we Gen Xers are sitting here looking at all of these things and being either apathetic or unfazed, but we're old. Oh, you guys are younger than me, but I'm the oldest Gen X, so get over, you will be me soon. Right?
Very soon. Actually, I'm not that far behind you.
Right. I mean, Tucker may be a younger Gen X than me, but I'm still, saying, and I've also been thinking how my 50s vanished in the Trump years, right? From 51 to 62 to 2016, 2026, 20, whatever, 51 to
Mhm.
61 was taken up by the nonsense around being hysterical around Trump. And so
Yeah.
all of the time that I had to be at the top of my career in my 50s, gone. It's like you don't get that back.
Yeah.
You don't get your 50s back. And that was the time when I should have, had the prestige and the status and stuff that I was set up to have, and it evaporated because of things I said online and things that happened with Trump and things that happened with COVID.
Perfectly
And
normal things and good things you said too, by the way.
uh,
These were not evil things. They were just unpopular things.
I I'm reading some books right now about where that came from in medieval studies and around Tolkien and such like that, and thinking, oh, okay, that's why they were all so upset because they were in a completely different you know story. I mean, like 3D chess versus pigeon chess, right? It's like,
Yeah.
which world are you reading all of these things through? And
Mhm.
uh I can't. It's interesting. Has the kayfabe collapsed? Are we still in it? Are the kids? The thing is, I'm not seeing the kids graduating right now in the kayfabe that we're caught in. I think that's my lesson here. I don't see them worrying about the same things we are. I don't hear them
Well,
talking about the same things we are.
yeah.
My students feel different in terms of the things that they feel worried about.
What do they feel worried about?
Well, they're a little worried about AI, but not in the way we are. Interestingly,
Hmm.
it's less of a horror story and more of a you know feature of the difficult landscape that they're going to have to deal with, which is real, and I'm really worried about it because I have to change my teaching for it and
Hmm.
reconsider how. you know, I don't know that it's, well, anyway, let's not do AI. We can do not, well, that's a topic we've done before. This is about which perspective we are in.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
I feel funny. Eh,
Well, I don't know.
nothing here. Let's
I
figure
loved
out.
REM at the time, right? It's like, well, is
Yeah.
it right? What it, and I feel fine. Do I? My Drake world ended, right? I don't really feel fine. But on the other hand, all these other things, I can't see that I feel like they've evaporated on us recently, and I'm very fascinated by that. I'm fascinated that there are people that are still convinced that the world is about to end and it's all going to blow up and Trump is going to destroy us all.
No, Trump deranged syndrome hasn't slowed down any at all.
Yeah.
Despite the evidence of people's eyes, he's not, a fascist dictator. But when you have been using, and I mean you specifically, but when one has been using that kind of revolutionary language for as long as they have, it's they're not going to be able to see anything good because the results in their head it always has to lead up to a revolution and a bloody one.
Right. That's what and the thing is that's I'm not getting that from the kids, right?
That's good.
They are not angry in that way or needing to have that kind of I mean I'm just it was very interesting. It was one, the students that I was presiding over at Chicago felt very serious, very happy. It's graduation's a big deal. It's very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
um, but they're, I know for a fact because of the feedback I get from my own students, they want it to be a real accomplishment. So they'd rather that the work count like as real work. They're trying to
Yeah.
figure out what that means, but they consider getting these degrees a quite, it's an important accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing that I saw at the UCLA graduation is they were all really well dressed. This could be California.
Nice.
But the girls are all in white dresses. Like they're all different shapes of white dresses, some of them long, some of them short, some, blah, blah, blah. But they were all like really well dressed. And the
Lovely.
boys were, in nice shirts and dress pants and such like that. Yeah, right. It was like, this is a serious deal. And thousands of them, in all of their different, honors and degrees and such like that. So the youth, I don't see as participating in the same kind of hysteria as our age. Or the old, I mean, the ones that we tend to follow
Yeah.
in the internet, right? And are either convinced
Yeah.
that everything's fallen apart and is a disaster or, doom. And it's like, I didn't see it. I didn't hear it in
So
what they were
they're
talking
they're not
about.
trusting anybody over 30 when it comes to opinions. That's good.
Well, not in an aggressive, I mean, not like the hippies were, right? It's more
Yeah.
like they're serious about wanting to have, doing stuff in
Yeah.
the future.
They're very thoughtful.
Yeah,
From what I've seen, yeah. And they have very solid plans for what they'd like to do.
right.
Because part of the doom scrolling did have a point, the when people are making YouTube videos saying my life is a disaster and I'm in debt and I'm never going to get out of it and I can't get a job. A lot of younger people are actually listening to that going, avoid that. I think it's going to do
Yes.
something better.
Yes,
Which is a good
exactly.
thing.
Millennials, you've done your job. The Gen Zs listened.
Yes.
Right.
Bravo. Good.
Right.
Yes.
And the Gen Zs are like they're going to do stuff, and that's great. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really, really happy for them. This is the sort of Gen X version of things is, yeah, you go.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah. What? Nothing. There aren't enough of us.
Well,
And we're old,
we're old.
So
There weren't enough of us because the abortion peak really did happen in our generation.
also, there was the first generation that in America put off marriage later and used birth control and had far fewer children. So it was all of that stuff.
Right. I am hoping, I mean, I'm really praying for all the 20-year-olds to be getting married right now.
Yeah.
I do, that is I do worry about that because they are worried about that financially. and
Hmm.
I did have one conversation in LA with a young man who has a girlfriend, was doing really cool things for him, but for her, he was going skydiving because she wanted to, and but was worried about getting married because he had his mother and sister to take care of. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, I think stuff is, whatever the internet is saying, it's not necessarily what Tucker Carlson is saying, who, I wanted to share on the stream, the things that I had in my Telegram channel, and I'm just gonna have to read them because I couldn't figure out how to show them.
Okay.
But this was, the set of things that I saw from yesterday. So June 18th. Tucker Carlson is quoted as saying, "You probably never imagined that the end of the American empire would," and he's making the clip shows him making this little small space, right? Would come in a little over 100-day conflict with a little rogue state on the Persian Gulf that has the 34th largest economy in the world, a country called Iran. You just couldn't imagine that would happen, which I find all sorts of layers of weird, because it's a little state. I mean, it's a little 34th economy. It's a little state. Like it's, the heir of the Persian Empire. Are you kidding me? It's like the
Yeah, is he insulting them or us? I'm not sure.
our empire, like Rome came up against the Persian Empire, and you could tell this in so many different ways. And that
That's so overblown. Just, it's very imaginative. The only thing I can fathom is that it must have made the Iranians feel good. And sure, go ahead, let them. I mean, who cares?
Well, I have been seeing things
There's
about
my
the
Gen X coming
MOU. It's
out.
like
Who
it's
cares?
it's the kind of thing that's supposed to make both sides feel good. And it's like, isn't that the point? Do we want to
Not to
sign another
Tucker,
Treaty of
yes.
Versailles that makes one side feel really wretched, and so they have cause of war, and 20 years later?
Yeah,
Let's see how
somebody
that
somebody thought
worked.
it somebody thought this was some kind of um, secretive that fact that it was done at Versailles was some kind of secretive jab at Trump, who was too stupid to realize what Versailles was all about. It's like they saw it as some kind of surrender. I'm like, what are you talking about? What color is the sky on your world? This is just so bizarre.
They thought Trump wouldn't understand the visual significance of the
Correct, because he's a
Versailles.
moron, and this is and this is what they
The
keep
man
hearing
who
over and over.
gilds
He's a moron.
everything. I mean, really?
Yeah, the man who graduated from military school, the man who went to the Wharton School of Business. But sure, yeah, he's an idiot. You are such a moron for thinking so. Whoever wrote that, I don't remember his name.
It doesn't.
I
Well,
wouldn't
I
repeat
mean,
it
this is, we
anyway.
sort of collected the pigeon. This is the version of things that sees everything as a pigeon game, right? Trump is so
Yeah.
stupid that he signs a memorandum. He's at a G7 summit in France, and goes to Versailles, the place of the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, which, I don't know, was one of the big reasons of the World War II, and signs a
Mhm.
memorandum of understanding with a country that everyone has said our engagement with is going to cause World War III, and they think he doesn't understand the symbolic significance. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It takes so many layers of.
I can't take these people seriously. They are so dim.
This has been. I mean, I'm happy to be here with you, because it's a shrinking population of people allegedly on our side who seem to agree with us, right?
Yeah.
Guys, come on. Are you sure we're wrong? So you and I have been having conversations about when did you notice that your intuition was spot on? And I'm like, I can point to
All right.
instances in college when I was sure about it. And remember what happened when we were in college, right? Iran Contra, anyone? Have we been
Oh
noticing
yeah.
stuff about Iran and deals that the CIA has made, for weapons exchanges and such since we were in college? You think Trump noticed those?
No, he's an idiot. Haven't you heard?
I mean, I wasn't able to be elected president, so clearly I'm not sure. I mean, what would I know, right? So what Trump said on the same day, among other things, right? Which I've followed. This is all in my Telegram channel, you guys, documented, so you can come look at it. Oil is flowing. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The world will be safe. The stock markets are roaring. Jobs are at records, and prices are dropping. Affordability. Our country is strong, safe, and respected like never before. You're welcome, President DJT. I mean, who writes these things? I'm not. It's not clear to me that he writes all of them. I think.
He would, yeah, no, he wouldn't have time to write all of them,
No.
but somebody's got the same voice down pat.
Right. Right.
It's consistent.
All. I mean, it would be tedious to do a scorecard of all of the things that people have said over the last little 100 days that have been predicted to happen, and it has. I mean, yes, I did see one. I did see one post that was purporting to be from the guy who wrote The Art of the Deal on his 11 points and how we don't seem to be talking about the people who were actually killed in this engagement. What's interesting is, of course, did we talk enough about the people who were killed in all the previous engagements that uh, you know, I every time with the one time I said something about that, I got in big trouble because I claimed that the United States did bad things. Right? It's like the sort of amnesia that everybody gets. So we haven't been mentioning. I mean, the girls who died in the school. That's horrible. At what point are we? Do we say it? The world has been made better because it didn't blow up into the thing that you were terrified of.
Well, the media has had some bizarre love affair with Iran, like the Islamic Republic of Iran for the past 15 years or so, because they just keep talking about how wonderful it is, and there is a writer and educator that you and I know and have read before, who seems to think that it's a CIA plot to this whole women not wanting to wear, being forced to wear what looks like slave costumes, cover up, or we'll beat you to death. This is a CIA plot to make them dissatisfied with the situation. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre that people don't recognize that people were suffering in there. That doesn't mean we go to war with them. That's not what I'm saying. But the media has seemed to have been covering for them for a while, and it doesn't feel natural to me. So this is where the intuition kicks in. It's like I can totally believe that the CIA is somehow involved in this, in keeping the status quo. But this is where I just lose the plot. Like I said, there's so many tentacles, so many different things. And I only think the Promethean Action Ladies are doing a really good job of keeping track of this, because they've been doing it way longer than I have in the past 2 minutes, trying to explain what's going on in my head. But yeah, somebody's making money off of it. It really is that base. Somebody's making money off the status quo.
Yes, I'm certain of that. I am enjoying the Promethean Action coverage. Mike Steger does some good shorts, as well as the Barbara and Susan. What's interesting is, like, so I've also seen my ex, like, obviously because of what I follow and like and things like that, is very attentive to the problem with the long-term effects of the British Empire, which I think is, I mean, we did the video with James in February 28th, right? About how it all started with Clive and the East India Company. So, I mean, and this is what's interesting. I read it. The book I'm reading right now about, it includes a section on Tolkien's white supremacist medievalism. It's called Bad Medievalism and the Modernity Problem. I think that's right. By Kathy Levetso. And it's interesting if you say it as a racial thing, it's the white problem versus the black problem, because the way she sets it up for Tolkien is that there was a West Indian student, Stuart Hall, who was at Oxford in the 50s and apparently had Tolkien as one of his teachers, and told Tolkien that he wanted to do critical theory on Piers Plowman, at which point, according to the anecdote, Tolkien was, pained and said, no, that's not what we do. That's it's saying it's about his whiteness is a little is a lot of sleight of hand, because of course Tolkien hated theory no matter what, right?
It's just it's just racist projection is what it is. It's disgusting, and I'm sick of it.
Well, so what's interesting, if you say, so Stuart Hall, he was West Indian. There, a small number of people from the imperial, region in the 50s, right? It's post Indian independence, so post 1947.
Hmm.
A few hundred West Indians, blacks, are in school or in the UK, and they've been taught English, right? So here they are studying English literature. I have some sympathy for them at a certain level, because it's saying because I studied in Cambridge in the 90s, and as an American was told, well, you don't really know this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I get it, right? If they were black and from West India and they're trying to do English literature, I'm certain that somebody in Oxford told them that they couldn't really understand it, because other white people were telling me that I couldn't understand stuff
Right,
because I'm an American.
yeah, and that's the point. It's racist projection on the part of the person who wrote this, because her assumption is that everything is about color.
Well, and the thing is, a lot of the criticism, it's like, yes, what if you've been taught English in one of these imperial outposts, is it your language or not? If it's what you grew up with, as a
Hmm.
native speaker, and then you've got people like Tolkien telling you that his ancestors spoke Mercian and he can feel it. What do you feel, right? Do you feel included in that story or excluded from that story? If you just put it in those terms simply, I do have sympathy for it. But you could do the same thing with Latin, right? It's like, what do these guys in medieval England who need to learn Latin in order to, study in Paris, think about having to learn Latin? It's another, like, it's a learned elite language that's overriding your vernacular. But then what if your vernacular is English and you've got all these people who think of it, the English belongs to them? I do think this clearly, affected English language, English literature and language departments in a way that it didn't affect other disciplines because of this problem.
So you think it was baked into the academic cake over the 20th century, or the latter half of it?
Somewhat because of the way in which English was. So in the 19th century, classics was considered the great, sifter, right? And if you studied classics at Oxford or Cambridge, and had an upper class rugby education, and you could go into, I don't know, the civil service in the empire, that gave you a particular kind of social status. But it was learning Latin and Greek, and that was their elite signaling. By the
Hmm.
20th century, English was starting to, I mean, it was funny about it, English was starting to have a certain kind of prestige. So English as a subject, right, an academic university subject, hit its peak in the 50s, right when Stuart Hall, this West Indian, was studying in Oxford, right? So he
Hmm.
like landed in it in its like peak snobbishness.
Okay.
And at that point, I can absolutely imagine that there were people that were snooty about it, because that's the way they were about
That's the way they were with
everything.
you. But
That's the
now,
way they were with me. Yeah.
was English becoming, the thing to study in England or in India? I could see where it would have value in India, in pre-independence India.
Well, so this is what's interesting. Pre-independence India, yes, English became, it becomes a administrative language, and the subscribers to the Early English Text Society, the History of English series, right? It has Old and Middle English texts, Early English texts. Many of them were in India. So yes, I mean
Hmm.
the growth of the study of the language, some of it happens in the in the empire itself, because they want to participate in this. And then, as you know, either they grow up with it, they learn it in school, they're very skilled at speaking in it. And these guys in Oxford and Cambridge is delightfully snooty no matter what. Now the irony for me is, the flip side of this is, you want the prestige that Oxford and Cambridge gives you. If you don't want it, don't go there, right? It's like, if you don't want that prestige, and people, you could say that in our university systems, like, do you want the prestige that Harvard and Yale gave you? Right? It's like, we get that in our local system. It's like, I went to Rice. Oh, that's the Harvard of the South.
Hmm.
Chicago. I teach at Chicago. That's the Harvard of the
At which
Midwest.
point you should have said Harvard is the rice of the North.
Well, but it doesn't work, right? Because that's what's the fascinating thing about prestige systems. You can't flip it. You just can't, because as long as you're making the argument that you are the of the other region, you're still crediting that the Oxford of, right? And Cambridge is the,
Hmm.
Oxford of East Anglia, because Oxford is older. So they play slightly, right? Maybe a decade or so. They played that prestige game
Century.
too. And then within England, Oxford and Cambridge are, better than all of the other schools. Doesn't and different within, I mean, within Oxford and Cambridge, they're older colleges, right? It's like they're gonna end up in a prestige system no matter what. So if you want to be part of that prestige system, you are, yes, you're gonna get people being snooty at you, because that's the whole point of it.
So yeah, English was as a subject very valuable to the Indians. How did it become so valuable to the English though? It should have just been kind of something they took for granted. When did it become prestigious to study English
Kind of in the
in
50s.
England?
I mean, it's seriously,
But why? Was this, and we've discussed this before with respect to Shakespeare in the latter
mhm.
half of the
Right,
19th century, that it was
right.
used as propaganda. So was that more of the same going through the 1950s, the start of the Cold War?
Ooh, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, okay, that is a really good question. I have not I have not framed it that way. Uh, that the snootiness about English, it's like everybody. So what's funny about, okay, I can filibuster for a second here. That when I was in school, English was starting to dip. It was still pretty high in the range of like what counted as prestigious disciplines. But people were already
Hmm.
complaining about how they weren't getting as many majors as they had. Right. So it was
Hmm.
already, and Mark Bauerlein, who's written a lot about, the decline of academia, he's in English, and he's just, devastated by the numbers of people that you just don't get majors in English anymore.
Yeah, because I majored in English in my first 2 years of college.
Right.
Excellent professors at the University of Maryland. People who were studying them were going to be doing it because it was pre-law. It was well known that you couldn't do anything with this degree at all.
hmm But that was
You
not the
weren't even going
case
to get
in
hired.
the 50s and 60s. It was like it was the power discipline, which is of course why people were
Mm-hmm.
attracted to it, and then wanted to get in it, and then felt, angry because they were they felt excluded, but the thing, they were trying to be part of the prestige. Which, so therefore, I find, it's like, if you, what you want is the prestige of Harvard, and you're mad Harvard won't let you in, you are giving Harvard prestige, because you're acknowledging that
Yes.
its capacity to exclude you is damaging to your sense of self. And then you can say, oh
Right. And
well,
that
that,
lasts until they can't ride on their reputation anymore, which is happening with Harvard right now. Um,
right,
I hope they
Harvard.
reverse it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I hope they reverse it. I don't hate our old institutions. I hope Oxford and Cambridge can avoid it. I don't know if they can. I hope they do. Um, I have no answer to this. I'm not in academia.
Right.
I just say what I notice is that, yeah, Harvard's prestige is dipping, as are all of the Ivy Leagues reputations, because of what they've been doing publicly, which isn't good. Which I won't get into right now because it'll derail the whole conversation. It's like you could do a whole show on it,
Right.
and it's just about it's about the capture of academia by basically communists, at least communist ideology. But
Okay, but this
I hope they reverse it.
this is actually part of it, right? Because the 3D chess versus the pigeons is another of these perceptual problems, because
Mm-hmm.
the great theory wars that when I was in graduate school, they were peaking, as I understand it now from this, the sort of Jacques Derrida and Foucault and a few others, right? Derrida and Foucault were the big ones, and it was in the 70s and 80s and they came along and were deconstructing the prestige of the previous generation, and so they were, um, you know, showing the way in which all of the claims of status that the previous, and the thing is, the previous generation, the new critics, had been the ones that Tolkien was reacting against, because he was of the previous generation, when you used philology to do all of the 19th century sort of inventions of people's work. That,
Ah,
right, the 19th century is the great century of nationalism, which is itself a
right.
response to the Napoleonic conquests, and it's a in
Well, that's
Germany, it's a
interesting.
reaction
That's an
against the
interesting
French.
tie-in.
and the Grimms and their philology, which is then what Tolkien is picking up on. He wants to have that feel of a people that you can get through the language, and that is a that he's sort of wistfully, as someone who was born outside of England and then moved back with his mom, who was and he's an orphaned, right? Talk about feeling excluded constantly, and of course he's Catholic, so he doesn't feel like he belongs. I mean, this is constantly a story of
Yeah.
nobody feel like they belong. Right. I don't feel like I belong because I'm this. I don't feel like, I don't feel like I belong because I grew up in the Southwest, and all these people that, in academia, they all come from the East. Right. And I don't know anything about the East Coast because I've never lived there except for when I was in grad school. And they were, very clear about how I didn't, I'm this weird, Texan who doesn't know how to
Oh, New
behave.
Yorkers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I just ignore them. They're
Well,
like that.
right, but I mean the problem is always, this, from whose perspective are you the insider, the outsider, and how dare you? And so I see Tucker playing, he's desperately playing this game of wanting to be on the inside of whichever, political conversation is going on. Although he's a commentator, he's not a politician, so he can't be one of them. He has no power, right? He can't even, he can go and advise the president on this, that, or the other. But in fact, he's not an elected official or even a political appointee. He's a commentator. So, right. I mean, I'm a teacher. That's
Maybe.
all I get. But the sort of,
Maybe something else.
okay, you think he's a CIA operative, but
Yes.
maybe, right? But this, you probably never imagined the American empire would come to an end. So we're in, right? No more empire, right? We have no more American empire, which is what I thought we wanted. I mean,
Yeah.
right? I thought that was a good thing. I thought it was a good thing if we retreat from our, imperial overreach and are not trying to control the world's system anymore. But apparently now in Tucker Carlson's version of things, it's humiliating. Wait, which? Right? Right? I mean, we stopped using Latin and Greek. And, so, we're only speaking, we're only, using English to be prestigious anymore. The loss of the classics is the great defeat. Well, I thought you wanted us using English.
Yeah. I need to bring back the video from Chicago, the play.
Razzle dazzle
Razzle dazzle them.
Razzle dazzle them. Okay, so but then Trump on his other side of things. See, if we had slides, you can imagine we have the image of the kayfabe fight on the White House lawn, and we have, whatever is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. One of the things I saw in LA was some container ships, right? Because we went out to the port of San Pedro.
They're impressive to see.
They're big, right? And so watch the waterways, and you can see pictures of this that I posted on my channel, right? It's like, so it's all about the, where the container ships are coming in to and fro. And I thought it was a good thing that we would no longer be, trying to control China in order to make sure that they made the stuff that we don't want them selling to us, because right? The balance of trade is off, so we're going to correct it. And so now that means that the American empire is over.
See,
that's what I thought we were supposed to be aiming for. Why is it now a failure on Trump's part that he's accomplishing it?
There is so much going on all at once, and so many people talking about it in so many different directions. You're meant to be kept confused so that the people in charge can just get on with it. Somebody said to me,
go ahead.
Somebody said to me recently, they were kind of snickering that Trump's name was taken off of the Kennedy Center. And I'm like, yeah, it's ridiculous. How do people keep falling for this? It's an obvious distraction. He doesn't care. It's like, yeah, his name was taken off. Meanwhile, he's done 20 other things you haven't heard of because you've been paying attention to that.
Yes, well, I think, if Trump was going to be embarrassed by anything, we've had a decade.
Yeah.
Right. You and I have been saying this. It's like, exactly when are people going to start realizing that it keeps bouncing off of him?
They keep lining up to kick the football.
Yes.
Stop me, Charlie Brown.
Oh, right now, here, Charlie, here. Well, okay, so what's interesting, the next thing I had on yesterday's post was Vigilant Fox's post headlined, "Why Smart People Cling to the Biggest Lies." You're shown the evidence, they still won't. You've shown the evidence, they still won't budge. Here's why, right? And yes, I mean, we could. There's no point in us giving evidence because it's not going to work. which is that's what I find interesting in academia with the white black stuff. It's like the white supremacy. If you say it as these are the effects of the empire, projecting itself by way of the propaganda that it used in order to justify itself as ruler over these regions where it had, yes, of course. And indeed, in the 19th century, the Victorians did use language of whiteness. Fair enough, right?
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's like Kipling's skidding it as the white man's burden, but the sort of they did describe themselves as the white man, but it does mean British, because they're
Okay.
it's not Irish, right? They're not the whites.
Well,
It's
tell that to the people of Ireland right now who are told that they have privilege. That's a
well,
whole other show.
indeed,
It's
right?
really disgusting.
I yes,
Or the Scots for that matter.
yes.
Jeez.
But the thing is, the British were always the Brit. I mean, or the Americans, right? This is what we've talked about. That the British tried to do that to the American colonies, and they said, "No, we're English."
Yeah.
So the sort of identity of us them and the sort of markers that you're using, it's the Sneetches all over again, right? This, you got a star on or
Hmm.
star off. That's what I was thinking about at the graduations. It's like, are you in the fancy outfit or the plain outfit? Which one is more, which one is
Yeah.
greater status? Is it the one that showed you didn't really care about getting the robes on time, or is it the one where you got 18 like extra layers of lace because you're like
Oh, that
so
was so
celebrating?
funny. They were talking about the cords and the graduations that that they don't collapse underneath the weight of so many of them. It's quite shocking to see.
And I'm like, the Sneetch's problem is over and over and over again. Stars on, stars off, right? Which one is going to show
Yeah.
the degree of like seriousness with which you're taking this exercise? That this kind of perceptual uh flip flop figure ground problem it's unresolvable. It's not evidence that's going to make you change your mind.
No, it's not.
So
And then we know that from COVID.
well, it is a relief that the what Tulsi Gabbard said today about, in
Yes.
fact,
And prayers for her husband, everybody too.
yes,
He's got a terrible aggressive cancer.
yeah,
Just awful. Her head's in the right place. She's doing the right thing, being by his side instead of in the office. So
amen. And she did a service today, making sure that everybody's like heard, saying Dr. Fauci was not on the side of the angels in this
no,
situation
no.
at all. And can you remember within Drake's lifetime what it was like having to listen to, you trust the science, and if you're going against Fauci, you're going against the science. I mean, that was less. My dog only lived 5 years, and that was within his lifetime. It's insane,
Yes, you're right. It's like 10 or 15 years in five. It feels like it. It
doesn't
doesn't feel
it?
like it's only been 5 years.
It's only been 5
Yeah.
years. I mean, I was thinking about that when I was thinking about, what has happened in Drake's lifetime, and it's just this horrible compression of everything.
Hmm.
Um, so the next post was from the American Observer in Telegram. Uranium in, dollars out. The leaked MOU makes the trade-off brutally clear. This is not disarmament. It's a risk management swap dressed up as peace. And I'm like, what else is peace?
Yeah. What did you want? You wanted
Risk
complete and utter
management
defeat
swap?
of the people you're saying we shouldn't have gone to war with to begin with, but we didn't really because it was so truncated.
Oh, yes, we should have
What
kept
do you
going
want?
until we won,
Yeah.
which is,
And what does winning mean?
well, what interestingly, in fact, what the Peace of Westphalia was, after the 30 Years' War, and they were saying, okay, nations stay still, stop fighting each other, because otherwise you just, you're in endless war, right? So if we're going back to, I don't know, peace, treaties, diplomacy, how is what Trump has just done not diplomacy? This is where I'm like really losing the read. Like, oh, no,
They wanted him to have a full-blown war, and they wanted him to lose it. And he didn't do either one of those things, and now they're lashing out.
In what
Simple.
sense did they want him to lose it?
They want him to lose. They want him to like go to war, and they wanted him to lose a war with Iran because it would have been humiliating, and they hate him. I'm speaking of the commentators in the media right now.
Yes. Well, and I, I'm quite saddened by some of the ones that have sided with that vision of like, Trump's crazy, he's lost it. Um, we're siding with the sort of not and well the the funniest one, of course, back in February, if you remember, that he was doing Netanyahu's bidding, who's a little upset with him right now. Right?
Yeah, he's
So,
not. He's not. I said this when I said this when he got elected a second time. Said Netanyahu couldn't wait to run to Washington D.C. and shake Biden's hand when he
mm-hmm,
was installed as the
mm-hmm.
fake president. And I don't think Trump was going to forget that. I still don't think he is. I don't think he trusts him. I don't think he ever did.
Right. Well, it's funny. Everyone expects Trump to have as short a memory as they do, allegedly. Like
Yeah.
as if, oh well, we've forgotten that we said this yesterday. So I have been um, regularly posting my predictions because I want to make sure that I was right, which I am. um, so we've also there's a lot more posts from June 18th on my channel. Burning Bright has been making some interesting posts. He looks like a young guy in his videos, maybe in his 30s.
I haven't seen it yet.
Well,
Yeah,
because
it's on my
I
list
haven't
for
watched
this
I haven't
weekend.
watched any of his videos, but I've been reading his posts in his Substack. Um, saying the media industrial complex is in full flailing retreat along Overton's goalpost, discombobulated by the very off ramp it spent months insisting Donald Trump could never locate without catastrophic loss of face or strategic leverage, because they never
Mm-hmm.
understood the game Trump was playing until it was too late. I mean, this is that I remember that. It's like there's no off ramp. He's created a situation where he can't get out.
Yeah,
Trump gets out. And
he blew it. He really
he
blew it.
really blew it this time. It's like he found an off ramp that didn't exist, and now
Oh, okay.
Burning Bright
Yeah.
is in a strong version of the Promethean action narrative that
Okay.
Trump is actually aiming for sovereignty, like national. It's like Putin and Xi and Trump are in a conversation to disentangle everything. I mean that there's one that I found that was saying, yes, this is clandestine. Oh, interesting. War Clandestine on X was one of the first to post about the where the biolabs were in Ukraine, and was banned off of Twitter for saying that. So he's been
What year were they banned?
like
Do
2022,
you remember?
because he
Yeah,
did a map of where the original Russian attacks were and where the biolabs were, and it was like interesting. Banned.
I do remember that.
Right.
Yeah, I
So
remember
he's
that.
he's doing a few victory laps right now. Um,
Awesome.
he says, very interesting. Trump talks about how he's bringing our chip semiconductor manufacturing back to the U.S. and out of Taiwan. This tells me that Trump is preparing to end U.S. influence in Taiwan. We are getting out of China's backyard, and they're getting out of ours. I'm like,
Which makes perfect sense to me.
that sounds actually good, doesn't it? Oh no, it's like he's. I mean, I do see things saying, China is not in as good a shape as people want to believe it is, partly because of their
Hmm.
population, um, a lot of other
Yeah,
things, right? But disentangling our production from theirs, I mean, I see it as like, well, okay, so we are still going to be in competition with them because, right? We're not, it's like I don't think competition vanishes here, but if we're clearly, they make their chips, we make our chips, isn't that a good thing?
I think so.
The sort of sovereign nations, as the Promethean Action people are saying, looking out for their own interests, which is way JD Vance has been speaking fairly consistently. It's like we have our interests, and that is good to have our interests, and they have their interests, and
Hmm.
that it's good to have their interests. They're not
Which is,
necessarily the same, but that doesn't,
yeah,
because we're not them.
yeah, yes.
Which, to go back to our meditation on English and the empire, right? Disentangling all of the empire British Empire for sure, and this is, I think, why the English language stuff got so fraught in the 50s, that the empire was desperately trying to make everything seem like it all belonged in one world, right? That everything needed to be under the British, umbrella. And so all of you belong, right? Which is in fact why the West Indians were in England in the 50s, because there was a new
Hmm.
act that declared them all
Right.
citizens,
Hmm.
right? So you're all citizens, and they're like, okie dokie, what does that mean? Fair. I mean, it seems to me a fair question.
It doesn't mean you can come to Oxford and start doing critical theory or whatever it's wanted to do.
Well, the thing about Stuart Hall is he was actually he wasn't doing something so alarming as this version makes it out to be. What he was going with the Marxist Levicites, or he was going with the
Mm,
Marxists and the new critical theory people, new criticism theory. They were the Cambridge theorists who Tolkien would have been upset about no matter what, because that's what he was tended to be upset about. He
yeah.
didn't tend to like the literature studies people who didn't want to do the language part. I mean, that's just,
Oh,
he wanted to do
makes perfect sense
philology
to
and
me.
language studies. They wanted to do literary criticism. And so when Hall comes to him and says, oh, I'd like to do literary criticism on Piers Plowman, Tolkien's response is unlikely to have been, oh, great. Right? You're going to, you're
Or yeah,
doing,
how well do you understand? How well do you understand the language? Sounds weird to somebody who's speaking English, but I would get it because it's a different language when it was written.
well, but and Tolkien's entire thing was, history of language through philology. And that's a very different exercise from what the new critics were doing.
Hmm.
These are maybe terms of art that may take a bit more unpacking, but um,
Yeah.
with it, in the mid 20th century, at the the peak of the empire, when it's trying to redefine itself after Indian independence into this entity that somehow everybody still belongs to the same system, but right, in those terms, entangled sovereignty is the norm. I'm right, because the Commonwealth still has the king.
Yes.
And so Trump's disentangled American sovereignty is a different power structure, and they don't like it.
One wonders what they do like if they'd come out and say it.
Um, they liked being the empire. I think the British liked being the empire.
Yeah.
The way I got through Drake's final illness and the last several weeks was obsessively watching BBC. Well, I don't know. I think it's BBC.
Yeah, it
But,
was.
Poirot and Miss Marple, right? So
Yeah.
Agatha Christie's version of the Empire, which is very fascinating, um, and that Agatha Christie not only wrote all the great mystery novels, was married to an archaeologist who worked in the Middle East. So, like
She saw some things.
the peak of the empire, I feel it in the we had to rename our Oriental Institute the Institute for the Study of Ancient Cultures. I don't know whether that's going to
Mhm.
include ancient cultures outside of the Middle East, but anyway, the reason we have the Oriental Institute and the Egyptology and Assyriology and the study of the Near East is because you know that was the focus. I mean, it's a huge focus in the early 20th century of the archaeology of imperial control, which, oh, I don't know, what's nearby, Baghdad, Persia, right? It's like
Yeah.
whatever Tucker Carlson is saying. What does he want? I think he wants to be on expedition when we're opening tombs and discovering Tutankhamun in
Well, who doesn't?
1922. Well,
Can't fault him for that.
we can do an entire stream on the fantasies of Egyptology. Okay, so my
Yeah.
prediction, which I said back in February 21st, so even before Operation Epic Fury started, right? I said this on February 21st. So there. My prediction. We have never yet been able to predict correctly what President Trump is going to do. I'm amazed how people still try. Whatever he's
Mhm.
doing, A, we can't see all the pieces on the board. If we could, I mean, B, if we could see it, then his opponent certainly could, which would be a rather
Yeah.
stupid move on his part. Ergo, C, he's better at this than we are. So probably has moves still to come that we won't be able to anticipate.
And that's why the people who hate him so much. because they were convinced that he was dumb, and he keeps proving them wrong and proving the opposite. It's like, well, you weren't very smart for thinking this, and I don't think people's egos can take that. Well, the kinds of people
Comment on
who would
him
just
and want to
comment on him and hate just because it's a hate pile and I'm going to be popular, so I'm going to go do it too. They have to keep doubling and tripling and quadrupling down, and eventually they're going to get tired. Uh, I think they think they're just going to outlast him when they don't understand that this really isn't just about him. This is a
right.
movement that he has started, and after the assassination attempt, other people have joined.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is probably why some people think the assassination was fake. I don't. Obviously, blood was drawn, a man was killed, two other men were nearly killed. They were real shots. It was a real assassination attempt. After that, people went, maybe we better do something about this, and started joining him because we could be next. That's my opinion.
Well, I've been, think this feeling of coming, I mean, a decade, right? Coming to the end of a very long arc of a story, and remembering why people originally were taken with him in 2015, 2016, is that he was speaking for, I mean, the industrial heartland.
Yes,
And
he was.
And that, even before I was, very clear, I don't think I can predict him. I absolutely can't. But looking at people who support him and seeing how, even as a very wealthy person, he respects the working class. I mean, and of course everybody's like, oh, he's going to betray you. He's betrayed you constantly. He's going to betray you again. Yeah, so do they. I mean, the sort of who's going to betray who is this fascinating. I mean, which of the kayfabes is it? Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of Dorothy Sayers, speaking of Agatha Christie, I ran out of Poirots and Miss Marples, so I started listening to some of her. And things I'm not actually. I've never read that much Agatha Christie. I've watched the movies and such, and I'm wondering now about what I'm missing because I haven't read them, because there's stuff that's obviously in the books that doesn't make it into the movies. I landed upon two that I'd never heard of, bundled together in the audiobook that I'm listening to. One was The Man in the Brown Suit, for which there is a terrible movie made in 1988.
I have to hate watching now.
Oh my goodness. It could have been another Romancing the Stone because it's in that period and it has a lot of the same elements, and they failed. It's embarrassingly bad. But the other one, I mean, the book is okay, right? She wrote it in 1920s, which is sort of adventuresome heroine who, goes to South Africa, and there are diamonds involved, and a handsome, man who's been,
it's Romancing the Stone.
It's totally Romancing the Stone, right? Right, but written in the 1920s, right? So it is interesting that there's this, like, Poirot and Miss Marple are not the kind of characters you'd expect. You'd not expect Christie to write these girl adventure characters if you're used to Miss Marple and Poirot. But the Man in the Brown Suit has a lead adventure character who's the girl who, it needs to be rescued by the dark handsome man, of course, but it's also very plucky. And what's funny about the 1988 movies, they made it as if it's the 1980s, but the original story is set in the 20s.
Oh, that's not going to translate.
It did. I mean, that part was not so. The translation to the 80s wasn't the bad part. But with this audiobook, I also got They Came to Baghdad. And that one, she wrote in 1951, and it is intensely fascinating. It's like, they came to Baghdad. I wonder why I'm thinking about, I don't know, the Middle East. That Christie herself was married to Max somebody. He was an archaeologist. I do know this a little bit. I back in the day when I was super interested in Egyptology and read a lot of Elizabeth Peters, and then Barbara Merritt's is her real name. Elizabeth Peters' novels are great if you like Egyptian mysteries, archaeology. Her real name was Barbara
I
Merritt's,
do.
and she did actually do a PhD at the Oriental Institute and wrote a number of nonfiction books on Egyptian life. They're very well written too. Anyway, so back in the day, I read Agatha Christie's memoir about being on archaeological digs. It's all full of exclamation marks. That Agatha Christie in her memoir, it's nothing but exclamation mark. Excellent, very sweet. Anyway, so her books about being on digs in the Near East, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and things like that are interesting because she actually had been on them, right? And in
Hmm.
They Came to Baghdad, our heroine ends up in improbable circumstances on a dig, and there's some nice details about the work that they're doing and things like that. But but the super fascinating thing. Oh, and you can get a completely odd impression of what this story is about by watching the Westinghouse Studio One 1954 version of the story, made for television with the Westinghouse live ads for appliances
Oh, that's great. I love those.
folded into it. It's like if you're talking, it's like cultural history, 1950s. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyway, spoiler alert. Stop listening if you don't want stuff spoiled. Um, so our heroine Victoria, interesting name, is being filled in on the backstory of exactly what kind of situation she's stumbled into by way of following the young man out to the Middle East and ending up in Baghdad. Um, and Dakin, who is our man in Baghdad, is explaining to her exactly how um, difficult it is, and he's offering her, some a job to do as a spy, basically. You've got a job for me, Victoria. You got a job for me? Victoria sat up in bed, her cheeks bright with anticipation. Perhaps, but not the kind of job you're thinking of. She's a typist, a typewriter, stenographer typist. Perhaps, but not the kind of job you're thinking of. This is a serious job, Victoria, and it's dangerous. Oh, that's all right, said Victoria cheerfully. She added doubtfully, it's not dishonest, is it? Because though I know I tell an awful lot of lies, I wouldn't really like to do anything that was dishonest. Oh, she's great at making up stories, but nobody ever believes her when she tells the truth because she's not as convincing when she's telling the truth. Dakin smiled a little. Strangely enough, your capacity to think up a convincing lie quickly is one of your qualifications for the job. No, it's not dishonest. On the contrary, you are enlisted in the cause of law and order. I'm going to put you in the picture, only in a general kind of way, but so that you can understand fully what it is you are doing and exactly what the dangers are. You seem to be a sensible young woman, and I don't suppose you've thought much about world politics, which is just as well, because as Hamlet very wisely remarked, there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I know everybody says there's going to be another war sooner or later, said Victoria. This is written in 1951. We remember this, right? Exactly, said Mr. Dakin. Why does everybody say so, Victoria? She frowned. Why, because Russia, the communists, America. She stopped. You see, said Dakin, those aren't your own opinions or words. They're picked up from newspapers and casual talk and the wireless. There are two divergent points of view dominating different parts of the world. That is true enough. And they are represented loosely in the public mind as Russia and the communists and America. Now, the only hope for the future, Victoria, lies in peace, in production, in constructive activities, and not destructive ones. Therefore, everything depends on those who hold those two divergent viewpoints, either agreeing to differ and each contenting themselves with their respective spheres of activity, or else finding a mutual basis for agreement, or at least toleration. Instead of that, the opposite is happening. A wedge is being driven in the whole time to force two mutually suspicious groups farther and farther apart. Certain things led one or two people to believe that this activity comes from a third party or group working undercover and so far absolutely unsuspected by the world at large. Oh my gosh. 1951, Agatha Christie wrote this.
It sounds like a conversation we just had.
I
Parts of
know.
it. Yeah, that's
He's
amazing.
still talking. Whenever there is a chance of agreement being reached or any sign of dispersal of suspicion, some incident occurs to plunge one side back in distrust or the other side into definite hysterical fear. These things are not accidents, Victoria. They are deliberately produced for a calculated effect. But
Oh,
why?
damn.
I know. I'm listening to this to help me go to sleep. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's not going to put me to sleep. That's going to make me go, wow.
But why do you think so? And who's doing it? Dakin, one of the reasons we think so is because of money. The money you see is coming from the wrong sources. Money, Victoria, is always the great clue to what is happening in the world. As a physician feels your pulse to get a clue to your state of health, so money is the lifeblood that feeds any great movement or cause. Oh my gosh. USAID, anybody?
USAID.
Yep. Without it, the
Yeah.
movement can't make headway. Now here, there are very large sums of money involved, and although very cleverly and artfully camouflaged, there is definitely something wrong about where the money comes from and where it is going. A great many unofficial strikes, various threats to governments in Europe who show signs of recovery, are staged and brought into being by communists, earnest workers for their cause. But the funds for these measures do not come from communist sources. And traced back, they come from very strange and unlikely quarters. In the same way, an increasing wave of fear of communism, of almost hysterical panic, is arising in America and in other countries, and here too. The funds are not coming from the appropriate quarter. It is not capitalist money, though it naturally passes through capitalist hands. A third point, enormous sums of money seem to be going completely out of circulation. As much as though, to put it simply, you spent your salary every week on things, bracelets or tables or chairs, and those things then disappeared or passed out of ordinary circulation in sight. All over the world, a great demand for diamonds and other precious stones has arisen. They change hands a dozen or more times until finally they disappear, cannot be traced.
Right.
This, of course, is only a vague set sketch. The upshot is that somewhere a third group of people whose aim is as yet obscure as fomenting strife and misunderstanding and are engaging in cleverly camouflaged money and jewel transactions for their own ends. We have reason to believe that in every country there are agents of this group, some established there many years ago. Some are in very high and respectable positions, others are plain humble parts, but all are working with one unknown end in view. In substance, it is exactly like the fifth column activities at the beginning of the last war, only this time it is on a worldwide scale.
Oh my gosh.
But who are these people, Victoria DeBan? I know, I'm almost done. Let me say, they're not, we think, of any special nationality. What they want, I fear, the betterment of the world. The delusion that by force you can impose the millennium on the human race is one of the most dangerous delusions in existence. Those who are out only to line their own pockets can do little harm. Mere greed defeats its own ends. But the belief in a superstratum of human beings, oh my gosh, I don't know, Peter Thiel, in supermen to rule the rest of the decadent world, that, Victoria, is the most evil of all beliefs. For when you say, I am not as other men, you have lost the two most valuable qualities we have ever tried to attain, humility and brotherhood. He coughed.
Wow.
Wow. Right.
This wasn't the book that you couldn't find on archive.org, was it?
Yes, that's it. Fat sent me.
Oh, you mean somebody tried to get rid of it?
No, I think it's just still within copyright. It's 1951 and she died in 1976. So I think it's just, you can't. It's
still under copyright.
Right. So we're doing commentary on it right now. Right.
Yeah.
So, Agatha Christie spent all this time in the Middle East, lived in Baghdad. So all the details that show up in the story about traveling around the city, they go to Babylon and see the archaeological.
She met some interesting people to write that.
She was clearly, it's like someone who spent her life writing mystery novels and watching the patterns and seeing how things play out and who the stories and which story is it and which side are you on, and that she could see precisely that the communists and the anti-communists, this capitalist communist thing was kayfabe.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my gosh.
That's quite a revelation.
It's so intense. So it's like, and we're having to figure this out over and over and over again. It's like, how is it that I'm surprised that we haven't been able to see it since. You and I, we've been alive through a lot of this. And we weren't alive when she wrote this, but Trump was.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, just about.
Right.
Yeah. Very young.
That if you grew up in the 50s and 60s, maybe it was all clearer then and it got confused and obscured, and who knows what happened in the 90s right after the wall came down and we felt like, oh, we'd won. Right. It's like, when did we get the massive amnesia so that we couldn't see that this kind of generated sides. I mean, Christie is describing it to a T, right?
She really did. Yeah.
And now we're somehow being manipulated by exactly this kind of, the money flows, the money's flowing somewhere. We can't see all the money. Where is it coming? I mean, the Promethean action people are saying it's going through the city of London, which, okay, fine. I mean, what interesting that Christie had, worked and lived in these outposts of empire. And
Hmm.
1951 is before the Shah is um instated, right?
Yeah,
In
I think
Iran.
so.
So one of her character, the main, sorry, spoiler alerts, the main character, or Victoria's main character, one of the main actors in the story, Henry Carmichael, he's apparently grown up in the region, and he's able to, like, he has friends in the region. He can speak all the languages and stuff. He's like, he's the it's the character that in Indiana Jones, when at one point Indiana is describing how Marcus Brody is going to be able to blend in and speaks all the
Oh,
languages,
right.
except he
Yeah.
can't,
The
right?
befuddled, the
blends
behold old Englishman. Yeah.
blends not at all, right? Well, in her
Yes.
story, Carmichael can do that, and he's found, like, outposts, or um production facilities hidden somewhere in
Hmm.
the Central Asia, and killed it fairly early on in the story, bringing back evidence about who's behind all of it, right? And you're like, was this written yesterday?
Could have been.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't know. Are we worried then? If this is such an old game, if we've been in it our
I'm
whole
not,
lives without noticing, are we
I'm
actually
not worried.
alarmed anymore?
Well, yeah, you can be alarmed at certain things, but I tend not to be alarmed at anything, because I can't control any of it and I can't affect any of it. Now, when I was very young, I might have thought, yeah, you could affect things. And you can if you're in the right position. I'm not in that position. I don't want to be in that position. I'm glad my life did not take that particular route,
Mm,
um, into intelligence gathering or analysis or anything like that. Fun as that might have been, but that's the kind of thing you have to do to be able to affect anything. And also, you can be horribly corrupted by it. I
right.
think there's probably people in our own government who started out, thinking this will be a fun job and just turned into some of the most evil people in history.
Right.
um, it can do that to you. So I can't affect it, in my little tiny little corner of the world. I don't want to directly affect it, and I can't. I can only control my own reaction to it and try to plan locally for my own life and how I'm going to live it. It's so easy to just pick up the computer in your pocket, the
Mm-hmm.
television in your pocket,
Right.
and just see anything that's going on anywhere in the world. That's an aberration in all of human history. And just because you can do it doesn't mean you're in any better position to do something about it than somebody that lived 100 years ago or 500 years ago or 50 years ago. You're not. And once you wrap your head around that, you're going to be a lot more calm.
Well, I mean, it's I find interesting that in this passage that I read, that Dakin explains, they're not your own opinions. They're picked up from newspapers and casual talk in the wireless. I mean, the media environment is, he's saying you have this picture of the story because it's out there, and it's being given to you. I mean,
Yes.
and that the population is being triggered to, be terrified of the communists, to be on the side of the communists, and people,
Yep.
and he also acknowledges that people join these movements for good, for reasons they think that, like the youth do, right? Because you want to be able to do something. You're grown up now, you're in the world, you're in your 20s, and you you want to feel like you can. I mean, this is what all the kids always say. I want to do some good. I mean, they don't go in and say,
Yeah.
I want to be evil.
No, but sometimes they go in and say things like, I want to, be rich, and I want to be influential, and I want to be
Right.
in the know, and I want to be in the right parties. They do that. They don't
True.
understand that on the other end of that is evil. And you're going to have to come to a point where you reject it. And that means starting over and doing something else. That's how people get sucked into it.
Well, and I mean, the concern about Trump is like he was part of this, he was sufficiently inside of some of those networks.
And here's what people hate, I think, about him. Part of that is he was born into it.
Mm.
He was born into these networks, and that's unfair. He had an unfair advantage. Maybe he's always acknowledged his advantage, but he also isn't wowed by any of it because he saw it already. So since, I mean, his father was in the construction business. He was very well known in New York City. He did very well for himself and his family. He did give his son a financial leg up, but then he just took off with it. I mean, he really was just born to do this. But he had always been around that kind of money and power and influence, and he understood how to navigate through it. And I think that's part of why people hate him.
Well, I mean,
Oddly.
the truth of the matter is the person who seems to win all the time is really irritating. And yes, that people
Oh,
people are
yes.
upset with that. It's like
Yeah,
they wish they could outsmart him, and they
they can't.
they
And they've
they
convinced, and they've comforted themselves by telling themselves that, I'm better and I'm smarter and I'm much better. I'm a good person,
mm-hmm,
right? And then he does good things and he does really smart things and he's really successful, and he's going to lose this time. I'm going to get him this time. And then you
right.
don't. It really is like some WP cartoon. It's like watching Wile E. Coyote keep running into the side of a mountain, flattening himself or falling off a cliff. And he just keeps getting up over and over to do it. It's like, just stop, just stay down, just stay down. Just breathe for a minute, okay?
Well, I mean, the frustrating thing for some people is I mean, it's fine, you're born into these structures, but that doesn't guarantee your success in them. I mean,
No, it doesn't guarantee your
I mean,
success.
it gives you knowledge about them. And I'd say that it's like at these graduations, there's people there. It's like, I'm first generation graduate. And I'm like, well, I was fourth. My great grandmother
Mm-hmm.
graduated from college. It's like the problem is the sustaining of a tradition is just as hard as the doing it the first time, in some ways, because I
Yeah.
mean, the winning again is actually harder than people want to acknowledge, and then they're mad at people that can carry on traditions, which is the sort of the longevity of tradition is one of the things that, I mean, I'm involved in these past few weeks, and two universities were founded around the same time, right? Chicago
Mm-hmm.
1892, UCLA 1919. To still be around, Oxford and Cambridge were founded in the 13th century. Right? So
Yeah.
that was a long time ago, and the sheer ability to survive gives you certain degrees of status
Yeah.
that most institutions don't, or they've been captured and taken over and liquidated and so forth. So the yeah.
So I think, Trump being born into these systems and growing up around them and understanding them, um, gave him all leg up, not just financially and socially, but people who come from outside of that and go into it, I think they're probably more easily susceptible to corruption
Hmm.
from it because they hadn't seen it before, and maybe they don't understand it, or maybe it's just too exciting. Whereas, if you grow up in it, it's a bit blasé. You already know about it. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of things like that going on with him and people's, Trump derangement syndromes. It was totally manufactured by the Democrats to try to hold on to power. There's
Hmm.
no doubt about that. It has taken on a life of its own, though, amongst Republicans and independents. It is not natural. And if people could just step back, like I said, and just stay down, stop getting up,
Hmm.
chasing after the roadrunner. If you would just stay down for a minute and think about it, you might actually see the orchestration involved in it.
Well, I'm
What
happy.
Christy wrote
I'm
about.
happy. I feel like I can. It's like,
Yeah, I'm shocked though, and I'm a bit frustrated that people still aren't getting it.
Yeah, I
It's like,
know.
and I think it's because they're just, people like their comfort zones. They don't like leaving them. And this is a real ugly comfort zone that they've plopped themselves down into
Mm.
over the past 6, 7 years, or really the past 10 years.
It's 10
Um,
years.
yeah,
It's 10 years.
they shouldn't stay there. They shouldn't hope the worst for somebody. Right. When people said they wanted Obama to fail, they didn't mean they wanted him to be a personal failure. They meant they didn't like his policies.
Hmm.
They didn't want him to succeed, his policies to succeed. People want Trump to fail despite the fact that they like his policies and that they're benefiting from them. And I
Right.
know this because I know people like this who are benefiting from them.
Hmm.
And it's not rational. It's personal and it's reactionary.
Oh, I mean, the super irritating thing is, of course, he knows how to play the kayfabe, and
Oh yes, he's literally played it with the WWE too,
I
and that's why many people
know.
don't like it. It's like, oh, he's just it's so gauche. It's like, well, welcome to the Jackson administration. What can I say?
He's made it
There's
obvious.
precedent in history.
Right. He's made it
Yeah.
obvious what's going on, and that's just too much, particularly for people's feeling of
Yeah.
prestige and the desire to have prestige, which,
Oh, the desire for prestige, even amongst people who have never been near it, it's still shocking to me. They still want it.
oh, I
You
mean,
know.
yes, it's all of us do. And I think the thing is, I think there is a reality of, um, you need to feel supported socially, or affirmed socially, because we felt it, right? Those of us who tried to say stuff over the last decade and got ostracized or canceled
Yeah.
or libeled or slandered, or all of that, it's not fun. I mean, that's the
Mm-mm.
opposite thing of what Trump is able to do. It's like, the stuff that's been said about him for a decade. Would you keep going? Right? It's hard enough for those of us who got a bit of the edge part of it, right?
People punch him in the face, and he just gets stronger.
I
And then people find that infuriating.
Yes.
He thrives on a fight. You can see it. And it irritates the crap out of people.
Yep. Because most of us find it pretty hard to sustain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my I'm reading this bad medievalism book, and of course recognizing, I mean, one, I'm coming off of teaching Tolkien, and now I'm having to recognize that the sort of the version of the picture in my scholarly world is, it's all white supremacy, and how dare you, even say good things about the Middle Ages at all, ever, right? You're just participating in the imperial, extension. And I'm like, but I actually know what you're talking about, and this thing that Las Casas said is exactly what you're saying about humanity, and is, don't you see the Christian standards that you're using to judge all these things within? It's
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
it I it's been very, very, very hard to spend a decade being, said to be the bad guy, even in my little world.
Yeah. They made politics personal. Was that
Yep.
Obama's make
Oh
politics
yeah.
personal?
Yep, they did.
Right?
They
If, there-
did.
if there was anybody that you wanted to fail personally on a personal level because they just encouraged so much evil between people, it would be him. And yet people still don't. Trump doesn't encourage evil between people, and people want him personally to fail. They want him to fail. They want him bankrupt. They want his wife to leave him. They want his kids to die. It's demonic. It's just
Hmm.
the weirdest movement I hope I ever see in my life. I'm over 50. My life is probably half over now, at least. It is. You just keep repeating the same thing. It's not rational.
Well,
It
so
isn't rational.
John Abrissi's saying, look, very few people have negotiated anything of any size, much more than a job or house deal,
True.
especially journalists. They have no idea how it works to be successful long term, but Trump does.
Mhm.
And that's frustrating them.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
So
Wile E. Coyote.
it's a
Super genius.
anyway, it's been quite a ride, and I'm been grateful for all of you all hanging out here with us on the
Likewise.
Mosaic Ark and sharing the journey, right? Sharing the being out in the storms. um, thank you. People are in the comment. Fat saying 3 cheers for Drake. Thank you. Filter Guy says, I'm troubled by the idea dogs don't go to heaven. Well,
I'm not sure that's true. We don't know.
we don't know. Happily, we don't know. What we do know is in our Mosaic Ark, right?
Oh, there he is.
There,
Yeah.
Drake is being welcomed into the
Sweet
Ark
little
by
boy.
our Lord. So we'll say Drake is with Christ, and
Yes.
and hopefully with my dad too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
The big dog park in the sky.
Oh. Oh no. Happily, I've cheered up and I've had a beer, but yeah, big dog park in the sky. So to have a drink for my dear dog. Pray that we find our next joy. Among the many breeders that are out there with puppies for sale. Okay, so we have we're going to be back next week to talk about something you've done.
Oh, that right.
She's so shy. She's a book launch.
I really am.
Yeah, so we to check out the website.
Let's say booklet launch.
Booklet launch. Check out the website in the shop. It's got a notice up there so that you can follow. And so we'll be talking some more poetry next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Very good. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for sharing this moment for Drake, and thank you for helping us watch that chessboard. We think the 3D chess beats the pigeon, but the pigeon, the pigeon may know what he's doing too. Night, everyone.